Wait, start over.
I thought you were going to introduce us.
Yeah, you guys are going to know. You just said. No, you said you're going to introduce us.
No, I like this.
You need to introduce yourself.
All right. Here I am with my bestie.
Yeah, right. This is, I guess, us guest starring on our Semi-Famous Wives podcast. Typically, Mom's a Tampa.
Dad's a Tampa. It's taken over.
It's been a bit of change. Yeah, Dad's a Tampa.
For those of you who don't know, I'm Travis, Megan's new husband, new upgrade.
Upgrade. Some people can't afford the new car to trade it for a low model. I'm Mike. I am Megan's ex-husband and Tiffany's current husband. And I'm 90% sure the father of Michael. And you are the father
that's right.
of
yes.
who?
Bryce.
That's
Bryce
right. Okay.
is mine and Megan's child.
As far as you
know. Bonus son, I guess you could say.
Pretty much, yeah. So apparently there's been some questions that have been asked online, things that people want to know from us. You guys hear a lot from the wives, and we get to be a lot of cool background noise when they get to do a lot of the things that they do. We get to tag along. We can do things. But the cool thing about what they've done is that Travis and I, over the years, have become really good friends as well. We share a lot of same interests and things like that. And we've gotten an opportunity to, get to know each other. We do fun activities together, and so much room for activities.
Yeah. I think what a lot of people don't realize, is that how much Mike and I actually did become friends after Megan and Tiffany became friends. We are, I guess, self-proclaimed best friends as well. We really are. We're basically the only people we do stuff with. We go fishing. Yeah. We go fishing, frisbee golf, tennis. We do everything together, basically. So it's not a whole facade. It's not just the girls are oh, the guys get along. No, we actually are legitimately best friends as well.
Yeah. Which is, it was really weird, and then it wasn't. And
I was not a fan. I was not a fan of trying to be friends with Mike at first. Not because I didn't know him. Kind of like the Megan and Tiffany thing. I just didn't know him, so I was I'm not going to be friends with them.
It's weird. I mean, same thing on the opposite side. I was I always liked you. I said that to my friends, my coworkers, things like that. I'm he's a good guy. He takes good care of Megan. He takes good care of my kid. And that's all you can really ask for as a separated parent, right? Is to have somebody that can it's going to take care of somebody that you cared about, so take care of your kid, especially if the kid involved. And now it's just kind of evolved to where it is. So
a bromance.
Bromance. Eskimo bromance.
Yeah. So I guess some people have asked actually if we introduce ourselves as Eskimo Bros. I guess.
Depends on how much we drank.
But yes, that has happened several times.
Yeah.
Usually it's Mike that does it, but
yeah,
I've also done it.
Pretty shameless myself. Yeah. So
but
anyway, so people have asked us some questions online. So I figured we could kind of jump into it. We'll do a little introduction. I know who we are. We know what we do, or kind of. And
actually, that was one of the questions. We're going to jump right into it. What we do, our bromance.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. God, what don't we do now? We find a new hobby and we pick it up and we're let's fucking do that. Yep. Dude. Let's kill that. But it keeps us busy. The cool thing about us hanging out is, I worked many, many hours when we first met. 80 hours a week. You work a shit ton of hours, and so it doesn't leave a lot of room for hanging out, socializing, going to do stuff. In fact, what I think a good jump off is our kayak. So that's really kind of how we started hanging out, right?
Yep. That's how it all began, I guess. So
we're sitting around drinking, right?
Well, where it all began was the first night, 4th of July. For those of you interested, they've probably told the story before, but
not like we do though.
Yeah, not like we did. So we actually started to become cordial
before 4th of July, though. I think wasn't it the game night? No, the game night happened out.
Happened right after 4th of July. We kind of made plans that night, so we started to become cordial. The girls that were pretty good friends already, not absolute best friends, spending every day with each other, to the point they are now. They were good friends, and so Mike knew that, and he invited us.
But you guys were going to do a 4th of July in Orlando and got rained out. You guys were going to stay in a hotel over there. And I said, well, shit, I'm doing something over there.
Yeah, so Mike invited us to his little 4th of July party here at his house. And I was not extremely willing at first. But I decided it was best for Michael that we do that. So we came over here and we just pretty much hit it off. We ended up drinking whiskey in the garage and boxing.
No, that was family. That was the game night, I think.
No,
was that before July?
No, that was 4th of July.
Yes. So that night, the first night hanging out, ended up with us in the garage at 6 a.m. Still drinking scotch.
Sun was coming up.
Boxing.
Yeah.
And I think that set the precedence for basically the rest of our relationship.
Yep.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Yeah. So we realized how much we had in common that night. Like.
Yeah.
So.
And then I think it just kind of progressed. We hung out a few more times. And then the kayaking, I mean, that's really what started. I think we
sitting around. So then it was just a couple months later. It was like we were sitting around
drinking.
Yep,
that's actually leads to a lot of, you know, and I don't know how it got brought up, honestly, but I know that it got brought up. We mentioned going to kayaks. We looked it up online.
I probably said something along the lines of like, I used to kayak all the time when I was younger. When I was in high school, I kayak in summer after high school or in between high school years. I would be kayaking like 4 or 5 days a week, kayak fishing like every single day. So I think we talked about that at some point, and then he was like, "Yeah, let's go get some kayaks." And I was like,
"I think, well, yes,
okay.
I said that." And I was like, "Well, obviously we had to do our due diligence running by the wives, right?" And I think I think the conversation was as easy as, "Hey, babe, we're thinking about getting kayaks." She goes, "How much are they?" I go, "I don't know, less than $1,000." She goes, "Go get the hell out of the house, go get them." And we literally went. We went to one store first and got mine. They didn't have the one you wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And then we drove like an hour south.
Yeah, we drove like an hour to go get one for me because they only had one in stock for him.
It was during COVID, so like they were
selling. Everybody was selling out of kayaks. Yeah.
And then we got back that night,
and I realized how much you really like to talk that night.
Did you?
Yeah, with the salesman.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm a salesman myself by nature, and I like to get deals. I mean, you got to admit, you've seen me work some magic, right?
Yep.
So we get back, and then we decide to have a few more beverages, and then take them out in the lake out back and test them out. At midnight, we started. I think it was. We had Michael back there a little bit, and then I started realizing mine was about a little bit. I got a 10-footer, and you got a 12-footer.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the moment I realized it was a little too small, and it was when I tipped over in the back.
Yep.
And mind you, this is it's a very large, but it's still a retention pond. So it didn't smell the best.
Yeah.
So
to say it didn't smell the best was
but thank goodness at that point. I think
a huge underestimate. He literally smelled like shit. Like he smelled like absolute shit.
Sure. Yeah.
Like he rolled around in shit. Like he smelled horrible. And all I could do when he flipped over in his kayak, all I could do was laugh.
Piss yourself. Yeah.
Like I laughed. He's like looking up at me like, "Are you gonna help?" No, I'm just laughing. Like it was awesome.
It was So thank God I was drunk.
Yeah, it was like 3 o'clock in the morning at that point.
And then the next day I decided I wanted a bigger kayak, so I was able to.
No. The next day we went to the beach.
Oh, I flipped over
and took the kayaks out, and you flipped over again.
and that's where I lost Megan's
And you lost Megan's fishing. Oh yeah.
And I was asking you to come help, and you're like, "Fuck that, I'm fishing."
Again, I'm like, I'm out there fishing. He's like, "Come help." I'm like, "Fuck."
And that's why we lost your wife's fishing pole.
Yeah, so you lost Megan's fishing pole.
And then I decided
the night before though, you lost your chair.
Oh yeah.
So you rigged up a beach chair on your kayak.
Yep.
Rigged up a beach chair on his kayak.
Yep.
And then flipped over again. But didn't lose that chair, just the fishing pole.
I tied that fucker in pretty tight. So
yeah.
And then from there it just kind of branched off and the activities we picked up since then, we would kayak, we go camping, hunting, fishing, disc golf, bowling.
Oh yeah, bowling. Yeah. We bowl a lot.
Yeah. Oh, we used to.
Oh.
Yeah. But we will again. I hurt my wrist a little bit ago, so
I hurt my wrist too, and all I did, just bowl with the other hand.
Yeah, well, not all of us are blessed with the whole ambidextrous thing. So, let's get into these questions. So, the first one I got is, what do Mike and Travis have in common? So, I think we just answered a lot of that, right? Like, what do you think?
Yeah, that's kind of, I feel like we were leading into that with all that. But we have so much in common, and it's crazy because, like I said, I wasn't like extremely excited to hang out with Mike. I didn't know him, so I didn't really have a reason. But when I did hang out with him, I realized how much we had in common. And yeah, we do all kinds of fun stuff together because of it. But I think the biggest, if you could put it like into one little thing, like what do we have in common is like, we're just big kids. We just want to have fun. Like we just want to have fun. And
That I think that we want to have which shows if they actually did like true behind the scenes like recording of half the shit that we have to do. Half of it would be us getting yelled at because that's what we do.
We're big, we're big kids.
Yeah,
they say it, and it's like it's not them like just saying it just to be like, oh no, we're big kids. We know it. It's okay.
Yeah,
like
we
own it.
I think aside from that too, which is the fun stuff, and that's the fun stuff to get along with. But I think aside from that, if you on a serious note, I think we just have our belief in family and our dedication to family and like just working your ass off to provide, do everything you have to do to make them happy. We get to have both of that. Like we both have a great work ethic and being able to take care of your family and the drive to do that, make them happy. I mean, just them being able to not have to work and do this full time is honestly, I mean, they're it's them. They're the ones that do it. They're the ones with talent, but they got to do it because of the hard work that we got to put in, with our jobs and being able to take care of the household while they didn't necessarily have income coming in. And then the support that we give them, I think that's pretty cool. There's the ego is not there. It doesn't get in the way, right? I have no problem, if Tiffany gets a point, she's like making more money. She's the breadwinner and things like that. Like they're the stars. We have no problem kind of sitting back and just let them do their thing and then just kind of support them along the way. We love to do dumb shit all the time. So, some things we probably shouldn't admit on here, I guess, and
I don't think we will, but
all right. So the next one I got is what moment solidified your friendship?
4th of July, I guess. 4th of July kayaks.
Really I would say giving us the opportunity to hang out, right? It was you decided, as awkward and as uncomfortable it was for you to come over to another guy's house that used to be married to your wife and all this stuff. And we never really talked before then. Just being able to have that, taking that leap, I think, putting your ego aside, right? Because I think that's what the biggest thing that gets in the way of anything, with this situation. It's like, oh, this guy, I'm not competition. Your wife loves you. I have my wife. You know what I mean? There's nothing there. It's just, that we had a situation that we were together in a relationship, and then we moved on from that. And now we have our relationship that we're in, our families, really. And so,
I think a lot of people have a hard time looking past the previous relationship that you had with that person. And sometimes, it can be difficult, like could be difficult at first, but now I just look at it as like, we're good friends and we're here for the kids,
Yeah. And then keeping that open communication. If there is something, I mean, inevitably there might be something that comes along that makes one person feel uncomfortable. We just talk about, hey, I didn't like that, or that made me feel uncomfortable. Whatever the case is, just having that and being okay talking about those things is what I think. Just you get past it, and then always have have an open mind to the other person, saying, hey, listen, they can't read my mind, and I want to do what's best to make them happy, them feel comfortable, and all that stuff. So that's really important. All right, so third one I got. Let's see. What does parenting look like when it's both of you? Just two guys yelling at kids. Like I was
gonna say, they can go two different ways. It looks like either when it's just the two of us and the boys, it looks like 4 children, basically.
Basically, Who's in charge there? Or honestly, like we walk with the kids and stuff like that. We look like gay rednecks walking kids down. Down the road, you know what I mean? Yes. It's like we play with them, like we hang out, we take the kids all the time, and sometimes we hold hands. Oh, I should have said that.
It happened once, only because it did happen. We were walking into a grocery store, and he's wearing a tank top with flowers on it or something.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, we kind of look,
a little fancy.
And he was like, oh, what do you mean? And he grabs my hand, and I was like, oh, come on.
Yeah. It's Travis is a little bit more conservative with being ridiculous than I am. So I like to. I don't. You know what I mean. Like I purposely look stupid sometimes, and you're not as you're more reserved, I guess.
I'm definitely more reserved.
Yeah.
That's one of our biggest differences. Yeah. So as much as we do have in common, we get along extremely well because we have so much in common. But we are very different people when it comes to like I'm reserved. He's kind of just.
You're so much nicer than I am.
A lot louder.
Oh yeah, for sure. I get a big mouth.
Yeah, I'm a lot calmer.
Which is that's kind of where we go and lively, even like career wise. Like I do sales, and you kind of you just work.
I do a job where I don't have to talk to anybody.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you have to
I love it.
Let's see. What's the next? What's a funny story you two have? Well, Damn, we just hit so many of these questions with the kayak story, man.
There's so many though.
There are so many.
I'm not sure we can talk about a lot of them though, unfortunately.
I feel every time.
Actually, I got another one. You flipped over in the kayak on that disgusting fucking pond when we were disc golfing.
That pond, it was pretty.
So we were disc golfing.
A lot of them have to do with flipping over.
And it's so funny. Like I can't help but laugh. I have this one partially on video too. It's the only one that I've got on video, or at least part of it, where he's like pulling himself back up in the kayak. But we were disc golfing at a course where there was like a pond, and it was just like the filthiest looking pond with like all this algae and stuff.
Why you gotta make everything so filthy? It's not that filthy. It just had a lot of lily pads and shit on it, or like it had a lot of vegetation.
Stagnant, nasty water.
Yeah.
And he was on the kayak getting some frisbees that we had thrown in the water, and he flipped over, and I couldn't help but laugh.
At least that one didn't smell bad.
Didn't smell bad. Yeah, it was gross, but it didn't smell bad. It wasn't
a retention pond. It was a stagnant lake.
Yeah. It wasn't like your retention, like the pond in your backyard.
Shit off the road.
It was that you smelled like shit.
Yeah.
Straight up shit.
Yeah. Shit.
What other funny stories? I mean, I guess we'll just lead into the funny stories as we talk.
Yeah. So the next one I got, what do you do for work? So we were talking about that earlier. So I want to actually, let's expand on that. Let's just say a little bit like your background, like, because you've done some cool stuff, man. Like, so, from like high school.
As far as work? Oh, you mean like baseball?
Yeah.
I played professional baseball for a short time. I was a pitcher. It was a lot of fun.
Don't downplay it, man. That's awesome. That's crazy impressive.
I got a nice ring out of it. We won the championship one year. I was drafted by the Tampa Bay Rays out of high school when they were the Tampa Bay Devil Rays. And then I went to college. And then after college, I played for a short time with the Milwaukee Brewers. And then I got released. And a couple years later, I met Megan. I don't know. But now, actually, after that, no, you know what I did? After that, I was a manager at PetSmart.
You bring that up a lot.
I was a manager at PetSmart.
Yeah.
I was a manager at PetSmart for like 5 years. Between playing baseball and where I'm now, for 8 years now, I work at a power plant, waste energy. It's a big boiler. We burn trash, create electricity. Basically, I'm an auxiliary operator. So I work with all the boiler components.
That was cool. Listen,
actually, I took Mike one time.
Yeah,
Mike stopped by.
Really
and he visited me at work on a weekend when there was really nobody around. So you got to kind of see what I do and all the different machines and equipment and the big cranes and all that. But yeah, that's it.
Right on. Me, I right out of high school, I joined the Marine Corps. After that, I was a firefighter and paramedic for a while. Then I kind of fell in love with medicine. I got hurt in a car accident, so I couldn't do it anymore. Went to school for medicine, worked in general surgery for a bit. That was cool. And now I don't use my degree at all in biomedical science. I do work in digital marketing, did that for a while. And then I was able to start my own business, a couple actually, and just kind of helping businesses with marketing stuff. As Travis puts it, soft job. But, but I use my hands. Oh, you know what? So we talked about work. So that's, there's that. And then some of your personal hobbies, like what are some of the personal hobbies that you do? Because we share a lot of that in common too, actually.
Yeah, woodworking, I guess.
Yeah.
I have like a little shop area on the side of my garage where I like to do woodworking, and turns out Mike does as well. So we have that in common also. So,
you started it.
Yeah, I build like the furniture, all the furniture around the house. I remember it was funny because the first time I went to build something, I wanted to build a coffee table because I couldn't find one that I liked. And this is when Megan and I had been together for like a year.
Yeah, that's really you back in that apartment.
And we were in the apartment, and I was like, I don't like any of these coffee tables. I'm just gonna build one. I'm just gonna build one. I just decided to start taking up woodworking one day. So, and Megan's like, I don't think you should do that. I'm like, I don't know. She was really skeptical about it. And I built a coffee table. She loved it, and I've built all the furniture in our house since then. I built all the furniture in our house.
And that's so weird. Like, I love mechanics. I've worked on cars for Christ, 20, 25 years now. Like my very first car, I took it apart, put it back together. I know automotive mechanics pretty well. And I've always been interested in woodworking, but I think I never got into it because the way my brain works, if I don't know I can go into something and do it well or perfectly, I'm like scared to attempt it. I think you actually kind of helped me get into it because I could call you into, hey, what about this and all this stuff. And so that was like, and now I love it. I love doing it. I mean, hell, I built a pretty badass workbench, right? Like,
you made the workbench. You just did your dining room table.
Yeah, and which is crazy because again, I was so like worried about it being perfect and starting, but you're like, just got to do it, fucking do it.
Trial and error.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you actually took a class like on woodworking or whatever, which we had wood shop in high school, but I never took it.
I think I would say, and then to add to that, our biggest hobby is just anything that DIY that we could possibly do, right? I mean, I did the floors in my house, the laminate floors.
I did the floors in my house.
And you did the floors in your house, like the molding. I've never done it before, and just I think we're that mindset of it doesn't matter how much money you have in the bank. If I can make it, I'm gonna fucking make it, right? I don't.
That is something we absolutely have in common. Like, it doesn't matter. We're DIYers, like insane, to the end.
Like I don't care how cheap something is. If I pay more for materials than the actual product, I don't give a shit. Like how many we've worked on our kayaks for like 2 years, man, just updating and putting motors on there and specialized, turning mechanisms and just all kinds of stuff, dude. Like, because it's fun,
Yeah, we like to tinker. We like to tinker with stuff.
Yeah.
Use our hands. That's something we have in common. We like to use our hands
as DIY as possible. Travis, this one's for you, buddy. How do you feel about Mike's relationship with Bryce?
I love it until Bryce comes home singing the diarrhea song. Every single time he comes home from your house, he's singing the diarrhea song. But no, seriously, I think it's great.
What do we say about being children, by the way?
Huh?
So what do we say about being children?
Yeah, again, we're children.
Case in point.
No, I think it's great. I mean, it's another male adult in his life to teach him right from wrong and all that stuff. Like, so yeah, I have no problem, absolutely no problem. I volunteer Mike for all the time. I'm like, hey, Megan wants to go do something. I'm like, let's just drop Bryce off with because I know Mike has no problem with that. He's a very good what's the word?
Dad.
He is yeah. I mean, he's another parent to Bryce, basically. So yeah, I'm very comfortable with it. Actually, you know what? Bryce came home the other day and he was doing something. What was he doing? He was doing like one of Mike's little ticks, and I was like, "Stop, stop! You can't do that."
100%.
Yeah, that's like 100%, 100%. And I was like, "Bryce, don't do that." And he's like, "Why?" I'm like, "Mike does that. Please, just stop." but no, I'm just he's a great father figure to Bryce, and I'm very appreciative of that. Like, yeah, Bryce absolutely adores Mike, and yeah, so that's great. It's something, honestly, I never would have pictured going into this whole thing, like my son hanging out with him, without me. And I'll come home from work and he'll be like, Daddy, Mike showed me this, or Mike did that. And I'm like, oh, that's awesome. Like, that's great. Like, that's great.
Yeah. And I'll even though it wasn't really asked, I'll kind of hit the other side of this. And like I said earlier, I thought from the very beginning, you're just a nice guy, right? And a lot nicer than I am. I mean, I blame it on well, first of all, we have very different backgrounds as kids, right? You had an amazing dad, you had an amazing family growing up, stuff like that. And I had the opposite. So I think bringing that in the picture, like none of us really know how to be parents, but the best you know is based off what your parents did. And, I didn't have a great example. You did. So I think that dynamic, especially even with Michael, is awesome. Like it's you just bring a different you bring a different style of parenting, right? I'm kind of I don't follow the same things my parents did. I don't believe that, well, that's the way I was raised, so that's the way you're raised. But I follow a lot of the same path. But military, fire, like I'm more, kind of intense. I'm more disciplinary and things like that. I don't have as much patience, I would say. As I get older, I feel like I'm getting more. But
I'm trying to teach him patience. So that's one of the things, like when people ask like, how do we feel about each other, like parenting our children, or him parenting Bryce and me parenting Michael, we talk about it. Like we talk like what's best for the kid. Like we go back and forth with ideas and like, okay, here's how we're gonna do this, and we try and work together for the kids. Like
I think that also like it's a talk about situation as much as it's a venting situation, because I think most of our conversation was like, oh my god, that fucking kid, right? No matter which one, it's just like, Jesus Christ, he did this or he did this, and we bring different perspectives. Again, we have different personalities, and you're again. I always go back to the thought of like you're nicer, you're more like kind of laid back. I'm more like authoritative and disciplinarian, and those styles. There's a happy medium, because if you're too soft, you're too nice, the kids do whatever the hell they want. If you're too strict and too much of a disciplinarian, then you can kind of fuck up your kids' emotional growth and things like that. We and the big thing too, we both agree, we don't hit our kids, we don't do anything like that. It's a hands-on parenting situation, but we talk and we train.
We've gone back and forth. I go, hey, you're being a little bit too hard right now, and he takes a step back and he goes, okay, you know what, I might be. But he does the same thing to me. He's like, hey, you're being too easy on him. Let's let's be a little more assertive at this point in time. Like, and we work with each other.
I think about like when we go bowling, right? Typically when we go bowling, it's you and I and the kids, and inevitably every fucking time
they get an argument.
And it doesn't really matter whose week it is with Michael, whatever the case is. If you're yelling at them or you're disciplining them, I have your back 100%. And I think it's the same way backwards. Like with me and Bryce, like if I'm disciplining him, you have my back. Like it's so having that mutual respect and that mutual drive just to make the kids be better, be the best that they can be, behave, fix behaviors that we don't agree with.
Yeah, there's nothing ever like petty, like you shouldn't talk to my son like that, or you shouldn't talk to my son like that. Like we're like, hey, I got your back, man. Like we work together.
You can't have that. Like, and again, I know I said it before, but again, it goes back to ego. Like 100% goes back to ego. Like, get out of your own way and be open. Like the only way that this works is if like, you and I are on the same page. I think that we can easily get in each other's way, right? Like you said, oh, it's my kid. Fuck you. Don't talk to my kid that way. No, man, because things do not work well that way. And in fact, that's a bigger contention, I think, than the girls, right? Like it's my wife, your wife, whatever the case is. Sure, yeah. There's that. There's a whole jealousy thing that can be there. There's all these things that can sit and prevent you from growing. But the kids is really where it's at. And I had this idea from a kid growing up, maybe as a product of divorce. I was like, oh well, if I ever divorce, it's gonna be my kid no matter what. And I had to change that rapidly in order to have a positive relationship with my son and with my son's other family, which is really what he has. But now we're kind of like one cohesive family. I think that's the way I see it. So. Anyway, there's
it's funny. Anything that goes on, like it's not just with Michael. Like we have a group chat, and it's like anything that goes on with us. Like it's not just Michael. Like Megan will text like the group, like, "Hey, this is going on with Michael." She does the same thing with Bryce too. Like so he knows, and Tiffany knows, and everybody knows.
We're all aware of what's going on, and we go to everybody goes to the kids' accomplishments.
Yeah, he goes to Bryce's graduation. He was there.
Yeah,
it's
All right. So speaking of family, next one is, how often do the wives yell at you? Every single time we make content.
No more than any other.
Well, I do think more. I think we get yelled at probably more than typical husbands, only because they're trying to wrangle us. Every time that we have to do a family content situation, we get yelled at. Because why?
We're big children.
We're fucking with the kids. I mean, if you guys see the Christmas things on the last Christmas, Travis broke the couch, by the way, because he sat on it.
It was already broken.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was weak, maybe not broken, but when you sat on it,
should have seen Mike in the ball pit throwing the balls all over the place.
I did do that, but I didn't break a couch.
Yell at us. No, we absolutely love our wives and love what they're doing, but sometimes we know we can be difficult when it comes to like creating content, and so
they have a vision, they have a job to do. We don't always see it. We're not always on the same page. Again, typically we are kind of busy fucking around.
Yeah, we're absolutely we love what they do, and we love being a part of it. Like he said, we don't always see what they see in their vision. So like, then we're fucking around. So we get in trouble for not doing it right.
And I'm opinionated.
Like,
I'll be, I was like, hey, we should do it this way. And you're like, I don't want to hear your fucking opinion. Just shut up and get in line.
Yeah.
So there's that. So yeah. But when we do things when we're not filming content, it's bliss.
No, we don't get
bliss.
We don't get yelled at ever.
Yeah,
no, we all get along
fun.
very well. We have a blast.
It's our ability to follow instructions. I think that really gets so the next one, do you get recognized in public? Yeah, we do. And it's really weird.
Do you mean?
Do we get recognized in public?
Do you think that means like all of us or you and I?
So, well, either way, we definitely all do because they get.
We all do because they do. Yeah.
And I've gotten twice.
I gotten once.
Yeah.
And I was with you.
Oh, that's right. I think that was one of the ones that was just
Armature Works. Yeah.
Yeah.
We were at Armature Works, and we went up to the bar. We were sitting there.
Those girls.
And there was these two girls like kept like turning towards us and like looking at us, and we're like, "Hey," and then after like a few seconds of awkwardness, they're like, "Are you dads of Tampa?" And yeah, so that's the only time for me.
Yeah, I know it was happened twice. I one other time I think it was just by myself, and oh no, it was right before we went to the Lowry Park Zoo on a Halloween thing. Remember I told you guys that, and I was getting the shirt, and this girl was like kind of really awkward around me. She's like, hi, and I'm always on, I always pay attention, right? I just some girl says, I'm nice. Hey, how you doing? And I always think in the back of my head, I can't never be rude. Not that I'm rude anyway, but like we kind of represent our wives now, being that they, are kind of semi-famous, all that stuff, whatever. And she comes up and she's like looking at me, and I'm like, hey, how you doing? She goes, hi. And I see she's looking at the guy. I'm like, okay, I don't want to, cross any boundaries, whatever the case is. And he goes, are you with Moms of Tampa? And I go, oh, and every single time I say the same thing. I have no idea. I get mistaken for them all the time. So
actually, I think you did say that.
Right? It's funny that way, but they know. And I was like, hey, do you want a picture? And just try to be cordial and nice, and do the best you can, because every fan is appreciated.
If anyone does see us, like if any of you do see us out in public, we are very willing, like to
especially buy us a beer,
good conversation. Yeah. Yeah, if we're at a bar, you can buy us a beer. But so when that happened, when we got recognized at Armature Works, they were like, "We love your wives so much," and we're like, "Hey, they're right over here.
Volunteer them up.
They're right over here. We're going to introduce you. So if you see us out in public, you can absolutely come up to us, and maybe the wives will be right around the corner. I don't know."
I mean, if we're out in public, they probably are there. Usually when we're together, we're out in the woods or like on water or something like that. Whatever. Jesus, this is a heavy question. The last one. I have you have more.
Man.
Strengths and weaknesses of all of you. My wife has no weaknesses. She's amazing. And
same.
Yeah, there is. I think we touched on all that. Like, I think that as much as we have in common, we have our differences. And again, sometimes you're too nice. Sometimes I'm too mean. You know
what's funny? Megan actually said when we were talking about this, we were looking over this. She said the same thing. She's like,
"Yeah,
you're too nice."
Yeah, it happens. And I have everything changes. I think as you get older. I don't think everybody says like you never change. I don't believe that. I believe that you mature, you learn lessons, and you choose to be different in certain ways. Right? Fundamentally, you are who you are and all that stuff. Right? But you grow, you mature. Right? Again, I go back to the ego. Get that out of your way. Just be better, right? And that's what you should always be striving to do. So, but weaknesses and strengths, I would say that's pretty much the biggest one. I don't see any other weaknesses and stuff like that. Sometimes you drive
when I
shit.
Got here today, I do what?
Sometimes you drive slow as shit. But then again, I drive fast, so there's that.
Strength or weakness? How do you?
So anyway, what do you got here today? What?
When I got here today, you said, "Hey Travis, I need some help." He said, "I can't reach."
I didn't say I can reach. No, absolutely not.
Strength, I'm tall. Weakness, he's short.
First of all, strength, I'd put myself up against you.
Strength, he can fit in small spaces.
Fuck you. I mean, just strength overall. I'm just saying, I hurt my wrist, and I don't want to hurt it more. I wanted to go ride bikes, and you said I shouldn't ride bikes, and I still did it. So I hurt my wrist. I can't lift things like that because I hurt my wrist.
I said, let's go bowling.
I can't do. Are you kidding me? That's how I fucked my wrist up in the first place. I have to go to the doctor because it's been like
weakness, his wrist.
Weakness, my stubbornness of getting checked out in the first goddamn place. Oh, hang on. So I think yeah. Hang on. If you guys can bear with me, I just need to make a quick phone call. Whose phone is that? Hey, we're in the middle of filming our podcast, but can you bring us 2 more beers, please?
Wow. Oh my god. Okay.
Thank you. Hey, look at that. Wow, you guys are just amazing.
Uh-huh.
Wow. All right, get out. We're doing a podcast. I need you guys.
It smells like farts in here. So I don't know what's going on.
Well, it's
Fair
funny.
enough.
It didn't smell like that until Megan walked in. I'm just saying. All right. So we have some more questions here, and you guys, by the way, if you want us to see us, or you want to see us on the podcast again, just hound the shit out of the girls and make it happen, because I know we're way more entertaining than they are.
Oh, this is more for questions to them about.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you whenever you go ahead, take these.
So basically, what made us start accepting how close Megan and Tiffany got?
Yeah.
I mean,
Do we have a choice?
what was there to accept? Like we did, like it just happened, and we're supportive husbands, and we're like,
Yeah.
okay, it's fine, like it's great. And the reason they did it in the
I
first
have an
place,
easy answer, by the way.
Okay.
My 100% easy answer is I see my kid more.
Michael. That's what I was gonna say. The reason that they did it in the first place is because of Michael.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, there was no choice. We wouldn't like be like, no, that's not okay. Like, because it's for Michael. It's
Listen, at the beginning, it was absolutely weird. It was weird. Like there's no my coworkers. In fact, one of my best friends that I had that worked for me and we became good friends used to call them the sister wives. Like it was a joke, right? And every time I told somebody this, they're like, "Man, that's fucking weird." Now I go, "Yeah, you're fucking right. It's weird.
Mhm.
It's weird." And then it just molded, or not molded, but transformed into this incredibly organic, easy thing.
Mhm.
And it's like, okay, so I either get to see, because Megan and I had, in our divorce, we had 50-50 custody, right? I get them 1 week, she gets them 1 week. And we used to split up weird ways in whatever cases, but nevertheless, I get them half, she gets them half. So now my wife and my ex-wife are best friends. They do a lot of shit over at our house with their content. Megan comes over, she brings Michael with her, so now I get to see my kid more.
Mhm.
How am I going to complain to that?
Yeah,
like that's
absolutely.
crazy.
Yep.
Right. So, yeah, that's. I mean, I appreciate the question. And not that I think it's ridiculous, because from an outside perspective, I would say like, oh yeah, that'd be
No,
we need to
yeah,
accept
yeah,
that.
yeah.
But to me, it's such an easy answer. It's like, because I get to see my kid.
Go back,
Yeah.
real quick. So when I don't know what made me think of it is, but when we took the kayaks out, the first time we actually took them out, the next morning after you flipped over in the
On
pond.
the Isle of Fire, right? Or no, was
No.
beach?
That was like the third time we went
Okay.
to. We went to the beach, and we were walking down the beach.
Isle of Fire fucking sucked, by the way.
Let's go for a 14-mile paddle. Like, I don't think that's a good idea.
Anyway,
but no, we went to the beach, and that guy was there, and he was like,
oh, my coworker, the guy used to work for me, right? Is that
no, it's just some random guy.
Oh, okay.
And you were like, I don't remember how the whole thing went, but you were just like, yeah, that's my ex-wife down there, and that's my wife, and this is her husband. And he was like, what? That's crazy. You should make a TV show about it. Yeah. I don't know.
Blew his mind. I feel like I do that a lot.
Yeah, absolutely blew his mind. And that might have been the first time that he called us Eskimo Bros. I don't know. But gosh, I don't know what made me think of that. Something that you said just like kind of made me think about that.
No, I think that, it just shows that, like, as soon as we gave it the chance, Jesus Christ, it just moved. It bloomed, right? Blossomed. Yep. So if there is anybody listening that is questioning that or thinking about that, like, just give it a chance. Put your ego aside and just try. Yeah. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. Jesus Christ. I mean,
I wanted nothing to do with him. Absolutely. I wanted nothing to do with him. I didn't know anything about him, but I still wanted nothing to do with him because I was stuck in that, like, it's stereotypical. Like, you don't hang out with the ex-husband. Like, that's just not something you do. But why not? Like, why not for the kid, to benefit the kid? Why not? Yeah.
Excuse me. And by the way, I tell people all the time, I'm like, not to qualify our friendship or anything like that, but in all reality, if Megan and I didn't have a kid, we would have never met, right?
Mhm.
They wouldn't have been friends. There would have been no reason for that. It again all comes down to the kid. The kid is the spark, the catalyst, the fuel, all of that. And but I'm glad it did because it took all that weirdness away, right? And now like we have even more of a cohesive unit than we would have had if there wasn't a kid involved, right? So
How did Mike feel about you two becoming friends? And by you two, it means Megan and Tiffany. So how did you feel? It's kind of
yeah,
similar.
kind of similar, right?
But
Same deal. Like again, at the beginning, it was super awkward. I I wasn't a huge fan because you got to think about it this way. I come home from work, a long day of work, right? And I'm not just coming. Sometimes I'm not just coming home to my wife and my kid, right? Sometimes I'm coming home to my wife and my ex-wife, and sometimes you're reminded why you're exit, why you guys are exes, right? So there is that. But again, I think over time and just like any relationship, I don't care if it's a friendship, a romantic relationship, whatever the case is, there's work to be done on it, right? You have arguments, you have disagreements, and so by communicating, it just helps fix those things. We've had arguments since then. We've had pretty heavy arguments since then. But again, you just communicate and you work on that positive change. So eventually, I feel fine. It's just a regular thing now.
yeah, it's so normal now. Like
Yeah.
but it was a few years ago. It wasn't.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I remember actually, it was like during COVID or something, and we weren't friends yet, or maybe no, we weren't really. Couldn't have been. So I think Tiffany came
It was
over
during COVID because right before we homeschooled
It was
the
right before that
kids.
then because Tiffany came
Yeah.
over and they did like painting with a twist or something.
Yeah,
And you were like, and she ended up staying and having a little bit too much wine.
yeah.
And
Like-
Mike was all pissed off, like, what are you doing over there? Like, why are you spending so much time over there? Like, he wasn't happy about it because it was just weird at first,
Sure.
which is understandable. Like, it was weird.
Yeah. It takes some getting used to.
Yeah.
But I think it has everything to do with just moving out of your own way, just trying new things. Same thing as the last one. The initial thoughts when y'all became close. Yeah, same deal.
Exactly the same. Is that the last one?
No.
Okay, so this one is how have our lives or perspective changed since blending, or our advice to dads? We touched on a lot of this already. Perspective changes daily, basically based on experiences, I think. But our advice to dads:
Get out of your own way. Like seriously. Like
Yeah.
I mean, I think we're depending on your age, but certainly for Travis and I, we grew up with the mentality of manliness, being a man. There's certain things that make you a man, and what people would consider like a manly man, not
We're men.
there's
We're men.
manly
We're men
man
in tights.
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 No, it's again check your ego. Like it's all about the kids, right? So there's that. So I believe wholeheartedly once you become a parent, you don't matter, right? That being said, in a marriage, your marriage has to come actually before the kids, I think a lot of times, because that's what sets a good precedence for your kid to watch of how they should, treat their wives or spouses, whatever the case is. So there's that, but at the same time, your kids are the end all be all for why you do what you do, right? That it's just your whole goal in life is to make them healthy and happy and successful. So that being said, if you're in a situation where you split from your kid's mom or your kid's dad, and you deserve to be happy, you deserve to be with somebody else that's going to make you happy. But at the same time, that kid's still there. No matter what, that kid will be there. You have to set a good example, a good precedence for them. And if you have the opportunity to befriend, like it's first of all to stay cordial with your ex.
Obviously, that's the first step.
That is the first step. Like you have to be respectful, cordial. They moved on. It doesn't matter how you broke up. It doesn't really matter what happened. It just doesn't matter, right? You can be pissed off all day long, but at the end of the day, it just doesn't fucking matter. Because what matters is the health and happiness and mental health of your kid,
Mhm.
right? And setting a good example. So if you can, first of all, definitely work. If you can't even get past the fact that you can't be decent with your ex, you've got to fix that. And then from there, being able to befriend that person that they're with and create a situation where you can have a cohesive relationship and get along and maybe, just maybe, have a situation where you can do like some family activities together. It doesn't have to be everything. It doesn't have to be what we do.
Just to be friendly. I mean, you think like this person, for him, like he said earlier, this person is going to be helping raise his child.
Yeah. And accepting that, first of all, accepting that from a outside dad's perspective, like knowing that another man is going to be helping raise my kid, that's a big fucking pill to swallow.
Yeah.
Because in my mind, I'm like, I'm going to raise him my way, right?
Yeah.
But my way is not necessarily the right way or the best way, it's certainly not the only way. So having that perspective is and being open to that is fucking huge.
Mm-hmm. And you have to think you're only spending
half your
50% of the time with your child. So this other person is helping raise my child. So, I mean, why wouldn't you want to have a friend relationship with that person? So, you guys can talk things out, or at least be on the same page. You don't have to be, that's what I was going to say. Yeah. You don't have to be best friends. It does not have to come to this. We have a lot in common. We're big kids. And we got lucky, but it does not have to come to this. You at least have to be cordial. You should be friendly with your child's step-parent.
Yeah.
For the sake of the children. I mean, really, for the sake of the children, like you should be.
And honestly, I mean, if you get to that point, it's just better. Like, it's easier to be happy than it is to be pissed off. It's easier to be friendly than it is to be enemies. Like all that other stuff takes so much time, effort, and mental fucking work to be mad and all this stuff, when it's so easy to just be decent and friendly and just cool with each other. Like it's just. And unfortunately, I would say if I was doing this, I don't know if we did start this almost 10 years ago. Tiffany and I have been together almost 10 years, right? Which is fucking nuts. You guys have been together for 8 years. Mm-hmm. So it's bonkers, because back then I feel maybe I wasn't in that situation, So it definitely takes maturity. Mm-hmm. And thank God that my wife is more mature than I am, because that's what it takes. And I just kind of.
Tiffany probably is the most mature out of all of us.
Oh, for sure, dude. Yeah, 100%.
Because for those of you who don't know Megan, and actually know Megan, and she might cut this out, she's just as immature as us.
Yeah, but she just likes to hide. She likes to pretend like she's not. But yeah, so I think that's probably what drew us together. It's also probably what drove us apart, right? Mm-hmm. It's just too much familiar, the immature shit. So, dads, listen, if you're going through this stuff, like, it sucks. It's shitty, but again, just
swallow
be decent.
That pill.
Do whatever's best for your kid, right?
Yep.
I think most dads feel like they'd walk through hellfire for their kid, and I think that's true. But I think emotional hellfire is a lot worse, or a lot harder to deal with than physical. Like, it's like easy to walk over broken glass, but it's hard to like put yourself aside, drop your ego, be cool with another dad that's raising your kid. That's fucking hard. I think the physical stuff's easy. So. So we got sent these before, and over a group text, and the last question is the most embarrassing thing your crazy wives have ever done together.
So everyone here already knows that they're crazy by that comment right there.
And what was my question? Can we be honest?
Can we be honest?
Because then again, Megan's editing this, so she edited it. I don't know. But why don't we let's answer our own wives. So what was the craziest thing you think Megan's ever done while they were together?